um, Bill finally decided there must be something wrong. So he took some of the valves down to another. We were working by the way, in the shipyard, and that was right in the harbor. And they had ground the valves for us, all of the valves, and put them in, but we couldn't get them seated properly by hand rubbing them, and they just wouldn't seat. So Bill took one of them down to a machine shop in town, and they looked at it and said, "Well, we know what's wrong." When the machine shop in the shipyard ground the valves, they put the shaft into the lathe, and on the other end they put the I don't know what you call it, the other end of the lathe, and put that pointer into the dimple, and then they turned the valve and ground the valve face. Well, they said the trouble is that after many, many years of running, that dimple got moved somewhat just from wear and tear. And so they actually ground those valves. They were round, but they weren't on center. So we went back to the shipyard and said, "Well, you ground the valves wrong." And not only is it, not only are you going to have to regrind them, but we have been here now several months, and spending money on water and electricity and dockage at your facility. And you owe us some restitution for this. And the shipyard manager said, "Well, yes, I agreed, but if you're going to get any money, you're going to have to talk to the board of directors." Well, the board of directors of the shipyard are probably the 12 most important men in Barbados. And so we were a little bit worried. George, the mechanic, and I were worried about whether we could convince them to make amends. So they made an appointment for us to do that. Now, George Hills, I had hired from Miami to come down. He admitted when he got there that he was an alcoholic, but he had been dry for, I think, 7 years. And so the day came for to meet the board of directors. I went down and knocked on his door. He came to the door dead drunk. And too much pressure, couldn't handle it. So I said, "George, what are we going to do? You're just have to explain what happened." And he said, "Well, you know the story. You go do it yourself." So I did. I had to go to the board of directors, explain to them what had happened and why they should compensate us in some way. The compensation was that they forgave us all the money that we owed them for docking, for machine shop work, electricity, water, everything. They wiped clean the slate of any money we owed them and agreed to do whatever was necessary to bring us to sea. Well, that was quite a accomplishment and quite a gift. It wasn't really a gift to them; it was restitution. But they were fair about it. So we we then redid the valve. They redid the valves properly, and they were able to see it. Um, there's another problem about the engine. It has to be timed. You have to turn it, and it's not timing for spark plugs, but it's timing for when you inject the fuel. And so George said that the, the boat was out of time, and it was going to have to be timed. He says, "I can't do it." So he said, "Bill, you go up there, open the manual, find where it says how to time the engine, and you do it." So I did that, and got guys, and they were all a little bit leery about whether I could possibly tell them how to do it, but I did. Out of the manual, and we timed that engine. We had a crew of 6 white people, natives from Barbados, And they were quite competent, but they didn't know how to time the boat. Neither did I. But we got the manual and worked through it, and we got the boat timed. So now we had engines ready to go, and the but we only had one engine that would work. The other engine was a real mess, and they had taken the best parts of it and worked it onto the wagon. So we were ready to go, and the Bill Bentley called me and said, "Okay, we got an engine running now, operate. We can go anywhere we want on one end. We'll go forever on one." And so I said, "Get a crew of 12 guys together and bring them down here to bring the boat home." And I put an ad in the paper told them what to do. We're going to bring FDR presidentially out back to the United States. And anybody who's a sailor, if we get 30 days off, sure, buy it. So I got a crew together, and we went down there to bring her home. Well, when we were ready, um, I got some pictures you can come up and look at later. I should mention the first shot, you can't really see this, but you know later. This is the Potomac, and it looks like it's fine, but that's when it was sunk. It's see, the water was only 14 feet deep, and the ship was almost that much below the water line. So when it sank, it just still looked like it was afloat. That was resting on the bottom at that time. And anyway, uh, we got down there with the crew, and I called our insurance man for the boat insurance, and we had borrowed the 25,000 to buy the boat. Our company had, these Hadley boat companies didn't make it really any money, and we were a small company. There were only four of us, me, and there was originally three. And Ira Dowd was their operations manager, and he had just finished building the Newport Dunes Aquatic Center in Newport Beach. And uh, I met him in the Chamber of Commerce, and he said, "Bill, he and I had started a real estate syndication business, and we did one job. We built one building." And he said, "Bill, I forgot to tell you, but I own an interest in these Catalina boats. Summer's coming, and we're going to have to put aside our syndication business and operate these boats." He said, "You'll come help us do it. There's three of us that own this company. If you come in, we'll give you 25% of the company. We'll each have 25% then, and we'll be our chief financial officer for the corporation," which was Hydro Capital. So that's how I got into the boat business, just because he needed somebody to help fight the company in the summer. But uh, anyway, we ran out we borrowed the money to purchase the boat from the savings loan company, and took the crew down there. We were all ready to go. Called the insurance man, and he says, "I'm not going to insure this boat unless both engines are running when you leave the harbor." Well, that was a death blow, because we felt there was no way to get that other engine running. But we did. I spent, well, after all the crew that I took down there had signed on for 30 days. It would take 30 days to bring the boat home. It would take 2 days to get it ready, livable, and then come home. And so they started cleaning up the boat, getting everything working, being able to cook food. And uh, the so when the insurance man said he was not insured, we had to fix the other engine. The crew but see that they would never be going home in 30 days. So they quit me on July 3rd. And their captain signed them all a vote, and they got on airplanes and took off. Um, the uh, so this was July 3rd when they all went home.